Hello, I hope you are having a wonderful day. Last time we talked a little bit about big ideas and noticing those big ideas in your stories and in any text that you read. We talked about what those look like. Hopefully, you have found some of those big ideas in your memoir and you have been thinking a little bit about that. Sorry. Today, what I want to talk about is considering theme a little bit. So our big ideas can help lead us to theme. So theme, I'm sure that you have heard of theme before. I have a slightly different definition of theme than you've probably used in the past. So my definition is what the story says about a big idea. This could be like a lesson or an idea about life or like a moral or something like that. It's not always like a lessony lesson. It's what the story says about a big idea. Um, Sometimes it's not really like trying to teach you anything. It's just sort of like an idea about life. So be careful if you're describing it as a lesson. But it's just what the story says about one of these big ideas that you notice the story interacting with. Some examples would be things like, in order to live happy lives, people need to support each other. Or success requires you to work through lots of failures. Or true friends are needed to get through the most difficult things in life. So you see how these are sort of like what the story says about an idea. So like this first one maybe is what the story says about the idea of friendship. The second one could be like what the story says about failure or success. The third one could be what the story says about friendship or survival or coping with difficult things or something like that. So you can kind of see how that works. Some tips when you are trying to think about theme. First, you want to avoid cliches. So, cliches are those really common phrases that you've heard a million times, like beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or all you need is love, or all I can think of are, you know, cliches. They're just kind of those like very common phrases. At this point, they barely mean anything to people because they're just kind of nothing phrases. So you want to avoid those. People don't feel anything when they hear all you need is love unless they really like the song. Um, they just kind of glaze over when they hear cliches. They don't mean much to people. Like, you can like the phrase, and people do, obviously, that's why it became a cliche. But it's not going to have an impact if you just kind of repeat a cliche. You also want to think about the whole text. So you don't just want to think about one moment where a character noticed one thing or learned one thing or saw one thing about life. You want to consider the whole text, and throughout the whole text, kind of what is it talking about. You can ask yourself a couple questions. You can ask, what does the story say about blank, whatever your big idea you want to focus on is. You can also ask, like, what do I think about blank after reading this story? So let's practice a little with Tia Isa wants a car. So if we look up here, we have family, money, freedom, poverty, class, immigration, love. Let's pick, I'm going to pick family. So if I pick family, I'm going to think about the whole text. So in Tia Isa wants a car, Tia Isa obviously wants a car. Our narrator wants to help Tia Isa get a car, and they want the car so they can go to the beach. And part of the reason they want to go to the beach is because they can feel more connected to their family if they go to the beach, and a lot of their family is very far away during the story. So I'm thinking about like what characters do for each other. And we have Tio Andres. I was gonna say family support each other, but at first Tio Andres doesn't support Tia Isa, right? Like at first he's like, but then he does come around once she's done it. Um, so maybe there's something about like forgiveness or, um, you know, allowing your family to kind of do things that, not support you at times. I don't know about that. I don't know that I like that. Let me think. So, family. I think there's definitely something about families supporting each other. There's definitely something about like the connectedness of families. Maybe I want to go with that. So a lot of times, I like to start with whatever word my big idea is, because I feel like that can lead to some good thinking. Sometimes I change my wording later. Maybe family connections are, maybe not are, maybe can be one of the strongest support systems. I'm going to say a person's life. That feels a little nothing. Like, I feel like that needs more. Family connection can be one of the strongest support systems in a person's life. Like, that feels like kind of too obvious, if that makes sense. Like, it feels kind of like a boring theme. So I'm wondering if there's more. Maybe it's the idea of like maintaining a connection even from a distance. So maybe it's like related to this, but maybe it's more like maintaining family connections even from long distances, or other separations. Is, so then I have to say, like, what is it? I'm thinking like it might be maybe not vital, but in the story, I mean, it's pretty vital to the characters in the story that they stay connected. Like, it is their first thought throughout the story is like maintaining this connection. Because like right when they buy the car, the very first thing they do, right, is tape the picture of the family into the car. So this isn't like an afterthought. This is like the first thing they do. This is a very important step in buying the car, is connecting back to their family and putting that picture there. So maintaining family connections even from long distances or other separations is vital. Is vital to maintaining family connections even from long or other separations. Is vital to, what's it vital to? So that's the question. Is it vital to like living? No, I don't think that they would die without it. In the story, what would happen if our characters weren't connected? They would just be sad. So like, if they didn't maintain those connections, they would feel really ungrounded, right? Like, it kind of makes it seem like they wouldn't feel very connected, or like their roots would kind of disappear. So maintaining family connections even from long distances or other separations is vital to staying grounded and Finding happiness. I'm going to put that. So we'll go with this for now. I might edit that if I was continuing to work on this. I'm not sure that that's like my final answer, but it is a good starting point. So it kind of says like what the story says about family a little bit. Obviously, you don't necessarily have to agree with what your story says. Not all stories say things that you have to agree with. So a story could say something about family that you just don't think is true. A story could say something about friendship you don't think is true. A story could say something about money that you don't think is true. There are tons and tons of things that stories can say. You don't necessarily have to agree with them. That's not the point of analyzing for theme, is not to find a lesson you agree with. It's to notice what does the story seem to be telling me about that thing. So it is okay if you personally don't agree with the theme you come up with. If that's what it seems like the story is supporting, then that's going to be a good theme for that story. All right, today while you are reading, start thinking about theme. You should be just about done with your book, or very close, getting very close to the ending. You want to have your book done quite soon. So be thinking about theme as you go. Really be thinking about these big ideas so that you can start kind of thinking about what the story is actually saying about them. All right, have a fabulous, fabulous day.